Shalom, I'm Moreh Matan, and welcome to this week's Moreh Minute. First of all, let me say Happy New Year, Happy 5781 to you. I had an amazing High Holy Days season and just coming off of Sukkot and Simchat Torah, and I trust that it has been a wonderful time for you and your family as well. We are starting completely over. We have rewound the scroll and we're back at the book of Genesis. So this week's Torah portion is Bereshit. In this week's Torah portion, we learn about the creation of the universe, of the creation of Adam and Eve, the serpent in the garden, all of this amazing stuff that happens in this very first part of the Bible. This year, I'm going to go with you through Rabbi Jonathan Sacks' Covenant and Conversation, his commentary on the Torah portions, and it's going to be an amazing time. Something that Rabbi Sacks points out that the rabbis say is man was created last for a purpose. You see, if man is created last, the rabbis say if he is worthy, then it means he was created last because he is the best, the highest. But if he is not worthy, then God could just say, well, even the lowly gnat was created before you. This is a wonderful way to put things in perspective for us. This idea of what is man that you are mindful of him. We're very familiar with this concept, but we also need to make sure that we understand that human beings are the height of God's creation, even above the angels. And so sometimes in English, we have translated this, you made him a little lower than the angels. But the correct way to understand this verse is, you made him a little lower than God. So we are the height of God's creation. Why is this? Because you and I have freedom. We have free will. Rabbi Sacks points out in one of his essays for this week's Torah portion that there was an idea before Galileo and the church parted ways, there was this idea of religious humanism. Now today, this sounds like a contradiction in terms. It's like that can't be, because humanism today is completely secular and against religion altogether. But there used to be this idea that Jonathan Sacks points out that art and science and religion all walked, as he says, hand in hand. They were not contradicting one another. What is meant by this religious humanism is the idea, and this is a little bit different in Judaism and Messianic Judaism, it's a little bit different than the idea in Christianity. Because in Christianity, the idea is because of original sin, there's nothing good about man. He is only evil. He's steeped in sin. But this idea in Judaism is there is such potential, such positive potential in human beings. We are the only creation that God created to also be creative. We are the height, the crown jewel, as it were, of our Creator's creation. We have the free choice to use this creativity for good or for bad. A few months ago, I talked about Alfred Nobel and his invention of TNT, his invention of dynamite, and how it was in the wrong hands something extremely destructive, something that could be used in war to kill other human beings, when he invented it for an entirely different purpose. I've mentioned to you before that in old movies and cartoons, we hear that phrase, if this falls into the wrong hands. Well, the same is true with our freedom. Rabbi Sacks points out that the Torah is a book of rules and laws. It's instructions on how to live. This instruction and law proves to us that we have great freedom. This is an interesting point that Rabbi Sacks brings out by Maimonides in his book, Laws of Repentance. Maimonides says that without laws, we have no freedom. Because if we just did as God said all of the time, like the angels do, they don't have free will. They're like holy robots, as it were. Since we have free will, we are given laws and rules, regulations, and instructions. You see, if we had no free will, we'd have no reason for a way to be instructed on how to live. We would just automatically do it. So this is an incredible idea. We have the freedom, yes, to do the wrong thing and to sin, but we also have the freedom to do great good in this world. And I think you would agree, right now, it is imperative that we are doing tikkun olam, that we are repairing this world because it is in great need of repair. As well as, I think you would agree that we are in great need of the great Prince of Peace. Which brings me to this. You still have a chance to order Rabbi Shapira's book called The Besorah, or The Gospel According to COVID-19. It has now blossomed to 450 pages. In fact, he's having to put a stop to it and putting additional material into his next book, which will come out in early 2021. Go to goodnewscovid19.net and order this amazing book that will reveal to you from the Torah, will reveal to you the purpose that God has in bringing this COVID-19 pandemic to the world. Thank you once again for joining me. We are back open for school, so if you would like to study with me in Kosher Pastor or the Uri program, go to kosherpastor.com and you can check out the Kosher Pastor courses. We still are bundling all 7 courses for just $400. You can also go to shuvu.tv for the full yeshiva. That will take you several years to go through. And coming up at the end of October, we are having a new graduating class of Torah teachers that will be ordained in Yeshivat Shuvu. We are so excited. Thank you once again for joining me. I'm Moreh Matan. Shalom and Kol Tuv.